On today's episode of the Football Fellowship podcast, Chelsea bottle a 2-0 lead to title challengers Arsenal, Liverpool get the spoils in the Merseyside Derby beating a helpless Everton, and Aston Villa and Newcastle thrash their opponents with 4 goals scored on today's episode of the podcast.
And welcome back to the Football Fellowship podcast. That was Mev with a lovely little teaser there for you, and my name is Toby. Thanks for joining us again. I'm still making episodes, still going, still loving it, and the footy is still delivering. What were you most excited for this weekend's football, Mev?
I think it was just the fact that football was back. I mean, with international break, it's always hard. You don't always watch all the fixtures. But I think, like, with the weekend coming back, we watched a majority of the fixtures. The football was back, a lot of goals, controversies. It was just nice to, have the Premier League back, really. Anything for you in particular?
I think pretty much the same. I said it on last week's episode during the international break that I didn't watch much football. I wasn't particularly super interested in keeping up sort of to date with all the stats and all the events and news happening. But as soon as this weekend was back and club football was back, yeah, straight on it. Just excited to get back into it and to watch Arsenal again.
Yes, 2-2. It was a really good fixture in the end. Lots of goals, lots of controversies, but also lots of errors. The goalkeepers, what were they doing? And a bit more of a headache for Mikel Arteta as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, like you said, it was a great game, I think, from a neutral. It had a lot going on, but from an Arsenal perspective, and I suppose from a neutral goalkeeper perspective as well, it was a bit of a disaster at times. Yeah, a lot of mistakes, and I think, like you've said, it could potentially be a cost to Raya's place in the team, really, following this game. It was the worst he's played for Arsenal, for sure. I know that sounds harsh, he's only just come into the club, but he's been pretty decent and pretty solid so far, and I'd say he's looked reliable so far, and I think this was the first time that we've seen almost the complete opposite in this game, and I think the way that Arsenal were playing really didn't help him at times, and we were on the back foot, and we just looked a bit slow and a bit sloppy, especially in that first half. We were much the worst team, and Chelsea, being only 1 goal up was probably almost a good thing. I think it has been the worst game we have played this season, and to get away with a point, we really had to turn it around in those last 15 minutes.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way of thinking about it, because you played so badly in that first half. Like you said, I think it was your first worst for 45 minutes this season. I think definitely, easily. And I think the fact that, you came away with a point at the end of it at Stamford Bridge, no matter where Chelsea are in the league table, you can always say maybe they're not performing as well as they should be. But I think, to get the point was perfectly fine. If we get into the goals, the first one was just really bad and sloppy to get away with. The handball from Saliba, which in my opinion was a bit harsh. I didn't actually think it was a penalty, but I think the way that the rules are going now, just think that's given a penalty. Hits a hand, you just think penalty straight away. And Cole Palmer with a lovely finish. But did you see Sterling was trying to get the ball off Palmer because he wanted to take it?
Yeah, there was a lot of sort of huffle and kerfuffle about who was going to take it, and it seemed like it was Enzo Fernandez was the one who sort of just was like, right, Palmer took the last one, he scored it, just give the ball to him, and he did score, so it was good, a good intervention from him.
Yeah, it was. And then Mudryk, the story had to write itself, didn't it?
Yeah, if it was gonna be any player who was gonna score, it would have been Mudryk, just to make another sort of talking point in this game, and he obviously was going for a cross. I don't think he would even claim he was going for a shot, but I feel like even if say the goalkeeper was in a really good position, that would have just not gone in. I think I'm not sure why Raya was so far, not just out from the goal, but he was so near towards his front post as well. It seemed strange. It was not a dangerous sort of area at all. He was just in a really, really weird position, and he had that, and it was also about 5 minutes later. He passed it out as well and just gave the ball straight to, I can't remember who it was. I think it was potentially Palmer again. Just gave the ball straight to him, and we were almost 3-0 down. If not for a bit of luck, I think he did sort of half recover and was able to put him off enough for them not to score. But yeah, after about 50, 60 minutes, it was looking absolutely hopeless. It was one of those where you just sort of are watching the end of the game, waiting for it to end, maybe hoping we can pull one back from out of nowhere. Weren't creating many chances, were just on the complete back foot, and luckily we did get a goal that came out of nowhere. It was almost gifted to us.
Well, it was gifted to you.
Mm.
Yeah, I just can't believe Davinson Sanchez. Not Davinson. Robert Sanchez. Too many Sanchez.
Davinson Sanchez in goal. I think he wouldn't have passed it out like that, to be honest.
Yeah, that's true. But I think it was just such a bad pass when you're winning. Like, it was so close to the end of the game as well, and to just let Arsenal into it. And it was a fantastic strike by Declan Rice as well. It's got to be said, because the anticipation he had over Conor Gallagher, who I thought had a really good game, Gallagher. But the fact that he got there first, and this lovely finish, no chance for the goalkeeper to get it at all. And I thought, Arsenal right back into it. And they proved that they were, because they went and got the second as well. And it just showed to be really costly.
That's why I didn't want to say that it was gifted in a way, because I think Declan Rice still had so much to do. He wasn't like it was given to him sort of on the edge of the box or in the box. It was still like 30 yards out away from the goal, and he was able to just curl it in. And obviously it was an open goal, but to still be able to put it in from there and have enough pace on it for the keeper to not get anywhere near it in the end was a really nice finish. And from our most consistent player so far this season, he's dug us out, he's shown he's a leader, and he was the one who dragged us back into this game by the scruff of his neck.
Yeah, I think Declan Rice again was a fantastic. Again, not in the first half, but that second half, he really was one of your best players, and you really hope that he can step up again later on in the season. And eventually, I think Thomas Partey is going to find his way into this team, because he's just so good at this moment in time.
Yeah, especially it's been a difficult one because Jorginho was playing this game, which was an interesting tactical choice. And I think probably most of it is because I think Arteta has seen how important Rice is to be playing in that 8 at the moment. He has been the one who's probably been creating and moving us forward the most, with Havertz not sort of gelling into the squad just yet. And I think Partey will be the one to come into that 6 to replace Jorginho. Hopefully we'll see Partey and Rice play together, which will be a really good combo. Two really brilliant midfielders. And speaking of Havertz and mentioning him, he hasn't maybe gelled into that sort of left-sided 8 in a starting position too well so far this season, but coming off the bench, he's had some really good impacts recently. We saw against City in those last sort of 10-15 minutes, he was able to see out the game, really compress City and stop them coming back into us. And it was in this game he was someone who was helping us move it forward and really push on in those last 10 minutes. He was able to move the ball forward, get it into Saka, who was able to put in a really, really good cross into Trossard, put it on a plate for him to put it in, past Sanchez and make it 2-2. And at that point, I feel like it would have been classic Arsenal for us to go and get a third and to win the game. But the way we were playing, I was really happy to just get a point and get out of there as soon as possible.
Yeah, there seemed to be a narrative around Arsenal that they have to win every game. And I understand they're up against a fantastic Manchester City side. But when you're in that situation, just get the point and go home and just move on. And then you got the Champions League in midweek as well. So I think it was just a fine point. Good for you, and then get on with it. But on Chelsea, what did you make of them? Because Cole Palmer and the 10, the new midfield, the defence, it's kind of all coming together now slowly. They did shoot themselves in the foot, first with Sanchez, and then just bad defending for the cross. But I think they did do really well this game. They pressed high, they pressed intensely, they got the goals that they needed, and all without Nicolas Jackson on the pitch. What did you make of them?
Yeah, I think this game they did really well in the things that they have done well so far this season. They were creating good chances. They were pressing really well, as you said. And I think that's something that we have seen so far this season that they have been really good at. As well as their defensive work, they have not been conceding many goals, really restricting the number of chances teams are getting against them. And that was exactly the case for this Arsenal game as well. But the difference was in this game, in the first half especially, was they did well in the things that they have not done well in so far this season, mainly in which is finishing their chances. They were able to have Palmer put away the pen easily. We wouldn't have been surprised before Palmer was put in that it could have been Sterling, Fernandes, maybe who aren't known as natural penalty takers. Palmer seems really confident from that and was able to slot it away. And then Mudryk obviously was able to score. Obviously, that one was a little bit of a fluke, but for them to be 2-0 up, I don't think many people would have expected the way that they have been scoring goals this season. And I'd actually say sort of the end of the game was quite surprising from Chelsea. We have seen that they have been defensively really good so far this season, but to sort of give 2 goals away in such a short span of time in such a big game, you would be very disappointed as a Chelsea fan. But I think they have to take away the positives, and there were a lot of them in this game.
Yeah, and what do you think about Chelsea's chances going forward? Do you think they get in the top 4? Because to me, I think they've really got a really good chance. No European football. They do have a lot of points to catch up. But I think maybe 5th, 6th. I think that could be really realistic for them and definitely getting back into Europe this year.
Yeah, I mean, they've just got to keep building each week. They've got to keep taking the positives and looking at where things are going wrong, and they do seem to be doing that. They do seem to be getting better as the season is going on. I still think there are 4 teams still definitely playing better than them at the moment in Arsenal, Tottenham, City and Liverpool. I think are all much stronger teams at the moment. But it's still so early in the season. We can definitely see Chelsea are improving, will start to climb that table, and by the end of the season, I won't be surprised if they are in at least the top 8. They have some really good quality in that squad. They have a good manager who is, as we know, is able to get the best out of players and really improve players as well. And especially that is such a good thing with the young squad and the new squad that Chelsea have. So I think there is a good possibility. They do have a really tough run of fixtures at the moment, which is a shame for Chelsea fans, because after seeing this game and seeing in the last few weeks that they're getting better, you would hope that it would be sort of the easy fixtures, those sort of home games against the lower sort of third of the league. But they're looking at, I think it's Chelsea, City, City, Tottenham, United. I think they're almost playing all of the traditional big 6 over the next sort of 8 or 9 game weeks, starting with that Arsenal game. But if they can play like they did, if they can play like they did against Arsenal in all of those, then if they can get a point against Arsenal, they can sort of get points against most teams, because Arsenal were second only to goals scored. So hopefully they can be optimistic, go in and play well and pick up some points and keep improving, keep working their way up the league after a poor start in the first few game weeks.
Yeah, and let's move on then to a team who are definitely going to be in the top 4. You heard it here first. Liverpool, who got the spoils in the Merseyside Derby, beating Sean Dyche's Everton 2-0 at home. And it was a bit of a, I don't know how to describe it, not boring, but a bit of a slugfest. Everton clearly came with a game plan. They were going to defend deep. They were going to try and block Liverpool in the middle and the wide areas. They were really compact and did a really good job. And Liverpool were doing what Liverpool do. They were passing the ball really fast and quickly. They were pressing through the lines, getting crosses into the box. But they couldn't break Everton down. And in the end, it took a red card. Well, 2 yellows actually from Ashley Young. What did you make of them? Because Sean Dyche after the game said the first one was a bit tricky, but the second one was a definite yellow. Well, fair play to him for admitting one, but I thought they were both clear yellows. What did you think?
Yeah, I think it's just it. I wouldn't even say it killed their game plan, that red card. I think they were both yellows, and I think Dyche probably would know that they were both yellows. I just think it meant that it really put the sort of extreme of his game plan of sitting back and defending and trying to catch up on the break to the max, because I think in that first half an hour Everton were clearly sitting back and hoping to catch Liverpool on the break, and I think once that red card came in, it became a case of, right, we've got to try and get this a 0-0 as opposed to trying to snatch a win, which is something that we've seen in Everton's big games this season. We've seen them sort of be a bit more progressive and create some really good chances against lower ranked teams and then sit back against them. We saw that in the Arsenal game when they lost 1-0. They were able to hold that on for 70 minutes, and they did have chances to go forward at times. But I think once that red card hit, they really, really just had to sit back and defend as much as they could, and that's exactly what they did. But yeah, for me, it was both yellows were yellows.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
Yeah, it's not just your red tinted glasses. I had my metaphorical neutral hat on.
Oh yeah, of course. Well, before we even get to the goals, we had another two set of controversies, another two set of yellow cards. This time for Ibrahima Konate. And I will take my red tinted glasses off and say I think he should have been out. I think the referee bottled the second yellow. I think it was very soft, but it was. He stopped the Everton attacker going through on the counter attack. He was just a 1-on-1 against the last man, and I think it should have been a second yellow. Do you agree?
Yeah, I feel like with all of those sort of fouls, whether they're sort of like the tactical fouls, when they are clearly preventing sort of momentum, preventing a potential break, they always have to be yellows because they do have such a big impact on games and such a big impact on players being able to go against a team when they have less men back. And I think that was exactly what that was in the case. So for me, it absolutely has to be a yellow again.
Yeah. And I'm really glad it wasn't given because you could tell even from Klopp when he was relieved because 30 seconds later, almost immediately, Joel Matip is getting warmed up, he's getting stripped off, and he's coming on the bench for Ibrahima Konate. And I can just see the Everton bench just going absolutely mental because they're like, look, they even admit to the fact that like he shouldn't be on the pitch anymore. They're going to take him off, not risk him at all. And it just goes to show, I think, the referee, I think, bottled it. But then Liverpool ended up going to get the penalty and getting a second goal. So, it could have been really different for Everton. And I think they can be quite unlucky because even though they didn't create too many chances, they had a game plan, like we said, and they were executing really well up until that point. But then, of course, Luis Diaz, who's I think actually gone really under the radar this season because of how well he's been doing, getting goals, getting assists, and just a real threat down the left-hand side. He's already got Ashley Young sent off. He's now got a young Nathan Patterson running towards his own goal. Michael Keane's come in and try and help him out a little bit. But then he sticks out a hand. And for me, I think it's a penalty. So many decisions. Did you agree with this one as well?
Yeah, I think there was 3 Liverpool penalty shouts in this game, wasn't there? There was the first handball, which I don't think was. I think that was a bit of a harsh one. It was where it was Patterson and Keane. They almost looked like they were both going to handball it, but for me, I think that was not a pen. And then there was a second one, which was the Patterson foul.
Yes, on
DS. For me, I actually thought that one was. I watched it a couple times, and I watched it with the sort of the play slowed down, and I thought that was. I thought I saw Diaz's legs just get taken out sort of behind him. Whether it was he was sort of moving his legs to make it look like they were taken out. If it was, he did very well to fool me. Let alone
trained eye.
Who maybe weren't fooled. But I think that third one was definitely a penalty. It was it was very clear. It was a bit of a no-brainer, really. And following the second one for me, I think that just added to it that Liverpool at some point should have definitely had a penalty in for that. Yeah, for at least one of those. And then Salah sort of got his penalty scoring form back a little bit. I think is it the last 3 or 4 now that he's scored?
I know he's missed 3 of his last 7.
Oh, it's still 3 of his last 7. Wow. So it must be maybe his last 3 that he has scored.
Yeah, I think it's definitely one where they're using the stat to put doubt into your mind as a neutral or anyone watching at home. But then really he scored his last 3, so it really doesn't really matter.
Yeah, he must have missed 2 or 3 in a row at some point then, I suppose.
Yeah. I think that was towards the back end of last season and maybe 1 this season so far. But I just felt like in the derby, Mo Salah, you want no one else there really. So, and he stepped up, put it at the top bins. Pickford didn't even dive. And then he went on to get a second. And he is another player. He is having a phenomenal season.
He is, yeah. I think he's been cursed by how good he just is. It takes so much for him to get plaudits of have an amazing season that he is having. I think I'm not exactly sure of the numbers, but I think it must be at least 8, 9, 10 goal contributions now in 8 games this season. He's just the driving force for Liverpool. He is the best creative player, the best goal scorer, probably the hardest working forward still, and the best presser. Just an amazing player, having an amazing season, and one of the best players in the league by far, and the main reason why Liverpool are so high in the league so far this season.
Yeah, completely agree. Do you think Liverpool have an outside chance for the title?
Hey, I think they keep playing Salah keeps playing like he is, and you keep picking up results in difficult games like this, Everton, Merseyside Derby, even though it is at Anfield, it's never a difficult game, then I don't think anyone in that sort of top four at the moment can be ruled out for potentially going for the title. I think sort of the big, I suppose, what is the point in the season where you think we know when a team will definitely be in the title race? It still feels too early for me. But then I feel like Christmas almost feels too certain who's going to be like in the title race. I'd maybe say like 4 more games.
Now, Christmas is way too early. As a
You think
fan,
Christmas is too early? I feel like Christmas is when the title race begins, I suppose.
No. I'll tell you what, against this Man City side, when you're up against this juggernaut, you're not in the title race until March. Honestly, because the only 2 teams who have ever been top of the Premier League at Christmas and not won the league have been Liverpool both times. So that was 13-14 and the COVID season when we had like all of our centre backs injured. And both seasons we just capitulated. Well, 13-14 was much later on, and the Gerrard slip and all of that. But then the COVID season, we were top of Christmas. We like just beat Spurs, I think, after we had some home fans in. I think maybe like a couple hundred, but Christmas is way too early because then.
But would you not say that you were in the title race in those seasons, even though you obviously didn't win it? It was clear who was in that title race by that point of the season. I feel like at Christmas, once you have that heavy fixture period, you know who is in the title race. Like obviously last season, it was basically just Arsenal and then City, sort of by default. In those seasons, it was obviously Liverpool and City, and I think in that 13-14, I think Chelsea was still in it at that point as well, potentially. But
I don't know. I think with Liverpool in that COVID season, we had so many injuries. Like we were top of Christmas, but we were out of it by the end of January. Maybe.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, that was a quick fall.
Yeah, it really was. It was a painful time to watch. I don't know. I just think Christmas is too early. I think we have like potential contenders, but like real title challengers beginning of March.
Wow. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. I think I'd still probably go for Christmas. I was saying Christmas was a bit late, but I think maybe in the last couple of seasons there's been like a bigger divide. I think maybe between the title chasers and the top 4.
Agreed.
And I think this season it still feels like it's those 4 teams are probably at the moment. I don't think anyone's sort of broken away yet. It feels like even someone like Aston Villa isn't really that far away either at the moment, because it's been really close and a lot of teams are playing really well this season.
Yeah, we will come on to Aston Villa, but before that we've got to talk about Newcastle 4, Crystal Palace 0. And Newcastle, who after a couple of dodgy results before the international break, have really found the form, have really found the scoring boots, and the defence has been really solid as well. 4-0 against Crystal Palace side, who've had consecutive 0-0 draws and been doing really well. I've just got absolutely battered at St James's Park. I mean, I did think Newcastle might have won the game going into it, but 4-0 was just a fantastic result and performance for the team, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, they've been one of the best defensive sides in the league this season, Crystal Palace. They were top of the clean sheet charts before. Sam Johnston having an amazing season. Looking at Anderson, Gahey have been absolutely brilliant so far this season. They've probably been one of the best centre-back partnerships in the league. And Anderson, even individually, has been absolutely brilliant. And it was not what I was expecting at all. And I think maybe it was that early Jacob Murphy goal that just completely threw them off. I don't think they would have been expecting to concede themselves that early. And I think that really opened them up. And following that, they just looked really open. I think Newcastle could have had even more goals in that first half than the 3 that they did get.
Yeah, I think that right-hand side of Newcastle was just such a threat. And they're not even the most flashy players. Like Kieran Trippier, we know what he can do. But like Longstaff and Murphy, that 3 on the right-hand side were just amazing to watch that whole game. The pace, the power, the precision in the passes and the shooting. they were just such a handful for Crystal Palace, who I normally think like with like Mitchell, with Gahey on the left hand side of the defence, which you mentioned, they're just really solid normally, and they just couldn't get a hold of Newcastle at all whatsoever. And like you said, I mean, Jacob Murphy, what a finish. I mean, Anthony Gordon could have had another one, but he hit the crossbar. I don't know how he hit the crossbar. Did you see that miss?
Yeah, he did. He did well to hit the crossbar to miss it. To be honest, it seemed easier to. It's one of those. There's a classic cliche, and it seemed easier to score. But yeah, luckily he was able to make it up a bit later and actually get a goal, so that was good. But yeah, I don't know how we missed that one.
No, but he made up for it with again. I think it was Jacob Murphy with a cross to him at the back post.
Oh, it's such a nice cross.
I know.
So good.
And the third one, I think I feel bad for Mark Gay because he gets the ball and he's not quite expecting it, and he takes a heavy touch, then slips, and then who was the Longstaff, of course, who ends up just putting a bottom corner past Sam Johnson, and half time 3-0 down. I mean, what do you do there from there? Really, you just try and maybe get a goal, limit the amount of damage as possible, but Newcastle were just all over them.
Yeah, and I think like even in that second half, Newcastle sort of said, "Okay, it's sort of time to relax a little bit." It wasn't the same as that Sheffield United game where they were really sort of lethal. I think Palace did secure themselves up and actually did have some decent sort of possession and chances going forward. Palace actually ended up having more shots than Newcastle in the game by quite a way. They had 17 shots compared to Newcastle's 10. 9 of Palace's shots were outside the box, but it just showed that they were able to sort of diffuse that Newcastle pressure and have a little bit of possession of their own, because that first half was just so completely one-sided. As I said, could have been 4 or 5. And Palace did show some, what's the word? Some like solidarity, I suppose, to not completely capitulate like we saw in the Sheffield United game where they clearly just gave up. They were 3-0 down at half-time, gave up, and then went on and lost 8-0. We didn't see that at all, which is fair play to Palace because it can happen to the best of teams. They can just give up. Newcastle did obviously go and grab one more through Callum Wilson. It was good to see both Callum Wilson and Isak playing this week. They were sort of both. Wilson's been out for a while. Isak had a little doubt, but he did come on in the end. And to see Callum Wilson score and have both of those fantastic strikers readily available for them now in the league and Champions League is just a great piece of news for Newcastle fans.
Yeah, it really was. I think that fourth goal was just amazing from Newcastle as well. The fact that Nick Pope got it, he threw out to, I think it was Trippier, who then passed it to Jacob Murphy. Jacob Murphy with the first time ball, beating the whole Crystal Palace defence, and Callum Wilson with a fantastic finish. I think maybe that goal Crystal Palace could have done a bit better on because the fact that it is so easy for them. But I think 4-0 just really, really good for Newcastle. But I think Palace, they're missing their key attacking forward players. Michael Elise, Eze, Odson Edward, who's actually started off the season really well. I mean, going forward, you can see now they don't really have many options off the bench and in replacement of their first team players when they're not there, which is a bit of a worry. But I mean, the only reason I think Crystal Palace will be fine is that, it's Roy Hodgson, it's that defence who have done so well so far this season. I think today's just a bad day and they brush it off and then they try and go again next week.
Yeah, hopefully, because like you've said, they've been playing pretty well this season on both ends of the pitch. So to have them carry on that season will be really great for them. So hopefully they can sort of shrug it off. But also on the other side, hopefully Newcastle can keep that up because they've been a really exciting team to watch this season. I think they're one of those sort of neutral favourite teams of people because they have such a good fan base. That they can carry it on in the Champions League as well that we've got this week coming because I'd love to see Newcastle get out of that group of death. So fingers crossed for both teams to carry on and Palace especially to recover after that because it's not an easy one to take. So moving on to our fourth game of the weekend. It was another 4-goal haul for Aston Villa this time. Aston Villa 4, West Ham 1. What did you make of this game, Mev?
I was a bit worried for Aston Villa going into the game because of the fact that I saw their recent record, the fact that West Ham haven't lost to Villa in the last 10 meetings, which was a bit of a worry for someone who had 3 Villa players in their fantasy football team. If I was watching it with like gritted teeth. But, fair play to Villa. They absolutely smashed it against a good West Ham side who they made look really average actually on the day. I mean, Douglas Luiz with his 2 goals, I thought was fantastic in the midfield. I think Ollie Watkins continuously stretching the back line of West Ham. And I think just, Aston Villa's defence was just really solid. And whenever West Ham did go forward, they looked like they couldn't really do much. Overall, a really good performance by Aston Villa. Very impressive at home. Another home win as well. And you know what? Maybe, after a poor start to Newcastle, who we just mentioned, I think maybe they could also be in an outside shout of top 4. Maybe Europe more realistically. But, carry on winning games of football, getting points, and we'll see where they are.
Yeah, I think with the new Champions League format that they're bringing in, they are obviously adding in, I think it's either 2 or 4 additional teams this season where they're doing the new big sort of single league format. Obviously with them, the top players going through, it means that, it's 2 additional teams. It means that 2 countries will be getting an additional spot for the Champions League. And I think out of the last 7 years, England has been one of the 2 highest ranking European coefficient countries. So it's normally, I think it's been like England and Italy, England and Germany, England and Spain is the 2 sort of best performing leagues. However, UEFA do their European coefficient. So the chances are that we are probably going to get another Champions League spot.
Only if Arsenal sort their shit out.
Yeah, if we start winning the Champions League. And it also actually depends on, I think even the whole coefficient is done on like Europa League and Conference League as well. So hopefully sort of Brighton, Villa, Liverpool as well can win. So then it means we get that extra spot, which would be great. So it means that 5th place potentially could be getting Champions League, which could go to a whole number of teams. It could be going to Chelsea, United, Villa, Brighton, Newcastle, all those teams. I was about to say playing well. Probably say 3 of them are playing well and the other 2 are sort of there in terms of how they used to play and the size of their club, but they could all be battling for that 5th Champions League spot, which is brilliant. I think it's great for the English league. Probably a few of the other leagues will be a bit fuming that there'll be even more English teams in European competition, but I'm not going to be complaining. So yeah, Villa are definitely up there as contenders for that because they put on another fantastic performance. Douglas Luiz getting another cheeky little brace. He can't stop scoring this season, especially at home. I think is it 6-7 games in a row at home now he's scored. Something crazy. That first goal that he scored, I just wanted to point out that I thought Areola made such an insane save. I think it might have been from Douglas Luiz just before he scored his first goal, and he absolutely flapped at it, and it was really, really poor from him. He so easily should have saved it, but I suppose he sort of made up for it earlier with with the save that was crazy. So, just really dominant from Villa. Really good going forward. Just they always look really quick. They always look like they are really fearless, and they always make other teams look like there's so much space. I think that probably comes down to how Emery plays, where he's sort of sucking them in a lot and then taking and moving at speed when the space does appear from that. And West Ham were really neutralised a team that have been playing well themselves this season.
Yeah, I think there was a period in that first half, like towards the second half of the first half, where I thought West Ham were getting the ball, really putting their foot on the ball, getting control in the game. And I did start to worry, and I thought, maybe they could assert themselves, get a bit of dominance in this game. But Villa just wrestled the ball back. They were hungrier, they were faster, and they just wanted it more. And you could see that on the pitch. And they made David Moyes and West Ham side, with a record, like I've said, against Aston Villa, which is really good, just look average. And I think for West Ham, who want to be pushing towards like higher up on the table, the European places, Aston Villa is like a direct rival for those places. I mean, you got like the likes of Brentford, Newcastle, Brighton as well. And we saw like obviously West Ham beat Brighton earlier on this season 3-1. But this one, they just couldn't execute the game plan, And Villa just went 1, then 2, then 3, and then the game was gone before they got a chance to come back into it. Although Bowen did have a fantastic strike, It was deflected, so you can't really blame Martinez for it. It looked like it was going towards Martinez in the near post, with the deflection and then going to the far post. So it's just incredibly lucky for West Ham, unlucky for Aston Villa.
That put some crazy spin on it to go past. I thought that sort of summed up West Ham a bit. Like,
I thought for a second it might have been an own goal because of like how far the deflection was.
Yeah, and it made it spin so much. It literally just was like absolutely whipped it round at that far post.
Yeah. Martinez had no chance. And then you thought maybe they could come into it. But then, Ollie Watkins in the form he's in at this moment in time, England starter, England goal scorer during the international break as well. He's doing really well. And then obviously you got the likes of Leon Bailey who came on the pitch, wasn't even started. And then with this finish, the finish was so lovely. Did you see it?
Yeah, he had a little sort of like I don't know if it actually was a step over or like a shimmy, cut inside. I think it was Alvarez, just absolutely skinned.
Yeah.
And then whipped into the top corner. He's quality, Leon Bailey. I really, really like him. I was gutted when he was injured in that season that the first full season he had
last year.
Yeah. I was really gutted because he's someone. I remember seeing him in the at Leverkusen, and I thought he looked really raw, looked really dangerous, looked really aggressive, and he's someone who I think you could put into most teams and they do really well, just because of how much he can sort of do on his own when he picks up the ball. And when he got the injury, I was gutted because I thought, he was someone who was going to come in and light up the league. Similar to, I think, how Diaby has sort of come into Villa. I think he could have had that impact had he not had that injury. But he's slowly sort of come back, and I think he's come back in really well. He's got a good role in that team now that maybe he knows he's not going to be starting every game, but when he is coming on now, he is making an impact, and he's looking like that sort of same dangerous player that we were hoping that he was going to be maybe when he first signed.
Yeah, I don't think the consistency is there often enough for him to be like a top player at the moment in time.
I agree.
But he's got years to improve. So he could like find that, and then imagine that, like Watkins, Diaby, Bailey, if they're all fit, they're all firing. What a front three that is. That could challenge any of the top six in the league, and probably is better than some of them. No name Chelsea.
They're just taking strays.
Yeah, just take everyone. No one's safe. Yeah, but that's it for Villa West Ham. We're going to take a short break and we're going to go into the quiz.
Yeah, welcome back to the new, I suppose it's a season within a season of the podcast, a new season of the quiz, a new format for the quiz. How bloody exciting is that?
Woo.
We are moving away from Only Connect, which put Mev 1-0 up in quiz matches, quiz seasons. I don't think we have a name for it just yet, but he won Only Connect. We are now moving on to another series stolen from Luke Pingo. Check him out on YouTube. He is the GOAT. It is Football Tennable. Top 10s of anything in football. It doesn't even have to be a top 10. It can be a list of 10 things, naming 10 things. For example, football clubs that start with a certain letter. 10 players from a certain country who have played for a team or a league or whatever. Or classic top 10 lists, your sort of top 10 scorers, top 10 appearances, top 10 whatever. It's all 10 and you've got to get as many as you can. So we've each gone away and picked our sort of category. We've got our list of who is in that category, and we're going to have 5 minutes each to try and guess our opponent's list. We're doing 3 lives. We're doing sort of the format that we've seen, where so you have one guess, you lose a life. You have 2 guesses, you have your second guess, and it's wrong, you lose a life. You have your third guess and you're wrong and you lose a life, and then at that stage you have no lives, so you're still technically going. But then when you have that 4th and final incorrect guess, that's when you're dead. You have no like shields, I suppose they're more than lives. So I think that's pretty much it, really. It's pretty simple.
No, yeah, you smashed that.
Are we going to do, so like it will be, if I guess 8 of your 10, I'll get 8 points. Is that how we're going to do it, I suppose?
Yeah, let's do like that. And then we could do like 10 weeks and then it's out of 100.
Yeah, that works.
No,
unless, of course, we do, like we did for Only Connect, we do that mega bonus episode.
Oh, God, yeah. The drama. Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah, we'll stick with that for now. See how we go. We're not too sure on the difficulty just yet.
No.
So I think that'll be something we suss out over the next few episodes. But hopefully this one's not too hard, not too easy, somewhere in the middle.
I'm sure you guys know how to play. And if not, go check out Luke Pingu after you watch this episode. And because he really is amazing. The content he's producing has been really good. And, to be fair, he deserves all the praise in the world.
Yeah. And the credit for us stealing his idea. Again.
Yes, of course. Yes, it is not our own original idea. The Football Fellowship will not be trademarking it. No. All right.
Cool. So who wants to go first?
So while you're talking, I've got my timer ready. So do you want to go first?
Yeah, that sounds good to me, mate. I'm up for that.
Okay. So Toby, you have 5 minutes to name me the 10 Premier League teams with the most red cards. 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so I feel like my strat here is just to go for the teams who have been in the Prem the longest. So I think I'm actually going to start with Everton.
Everton are number 1.
Number 1, thought so. Okay, I'm going to write these down as I go as well, so I don't forget.
Yeah, of course.
I will also go for... I think I've got to go for Arsenal.
Arsenal number 2.
Nice. Okay, this is
doing this in order. It's good.
Who else has always been in the Prem? I think gonna have to go for United as well.
United are there, but in 9th.
Oh wow, that was lucky then.
Yeah.
United. Okay, let's go for Spurs.
Spurs are in 8th.
Nice. This is good. 4 for 4.
4 and 50 seconds.
Okay. So let's go Chelsea as well. Always been in the Prem.
Yes, Chelsea are 4th.
Nice.
You got 5. You're halfway. 4 minutes.
So who else is... So with Chelsea, Spurs... Liverpool.
That is incorrect.
No way.
Liverpool are a very clean team. The boys.
Liverpool comes to fruition.
So you've lost your first life.
Okay. Wow, Liverpool, that's crazy. I think that's probably all the teams that have always been in the Prem that I've guessed. I'm pretty sure. So now I've got to start thinking of clubs that maybe have been up and down a little bit. Maybe someone like West Ham.
West Ham are there. They're 5th.
Nice. Wow. Okay, West Ham. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've got 6. Someone maybe, I'm thinking on the line, sort of maybe Aston Villa vibes. Stoke, I feel like would be a really classic answer because of just for Ryan Shawcross alone. Let's go for Villa.
Aston Villa number 10.
Oh, nice. I've missed one big team out that I know obviously haven't always been in the Prem, but they do also have Richard Dunn. So I am going to go for Man City.
Man City is correct. Number 7.
Nice. Okay, so which positions am I missing at the moment?
You've only got 2 left. You got number 3 and number 6.
Number 3 and number 3. Wow. Who could be in number 3? A team who've been in... How long have I got?
You got 2 minutes 20 seconds.
Oh, okay. I've got quite a decent chunk of time then. Let's think of some teams. So there's someone like Leicester I haven't said, but they've obviously spent a bit of time in the Championship now. Somebody like... Who else can we throw in there? Newcastle, potentially? They've had a lot of seasons in the Prem. Let's go for Newcastle.
Yes, that's number 3.
Wow, number 3. That's crazy. I'm very surprised how high Newcastle and West Ham are relative to sort of... Because I know they have had their sort of few stints in the Championship. So it's just number 6 left.
Yes.
It's going to have to be one of these teams that has been in the Prem now for a while. Or has only just gone down. Could it be Stoke? I've still got 3 incorrect guesses / 2 lives left. So I think I'm just going to throw in Stoke, even if it's wrong, just for a meme.
It is incorrect.
Oh, no. Okay. Oh, right, who's Leicester? So Leicester, I think, is probably the one that I'm maybe leaning towards the most at the moment, I'd probably say. Or someone like Leeds. Leicester, Leeds. Who else could sort of be in there? I feel like all this other sort of the other teams, there's teams who have maybe been in there, not in the Prem, not as long. Let's go for. Oh no, Leeds got relegated fairly, didn't they? Oh, or like a Wigan were in the Prem for a while. There's going to be a big team that I'm just completely missing. Let's go for Leeds.
Incorrect. 25 seconds.
Oh, so I've got one guess left. What team is left? Oh, Blackburn were in the Prem for a while. A decent chunk of time actually.
10 seconds.
It's between Blackburn and Leicester. Let's go because they won the Prem. They were in the Prem for a very decent chunk of time.
2 seconds.
Let's go for Blackburn.
Yes!
Is it? Yes! Let's go!
Oh my
clutch.
god. You didn't mention them until like the last 30 seconds. And I was like, oh, he's going to get it.
That was a really fun one because that was once you got past the big teams, trying to think of the teams that have been in there the longest.
Yeah, that was really well done. I do have to say, that was literally made at the beginning of the season, so Liverpool might be in there now.
Oh no, that's fair enough. I'm not gonna be looking it up or anything.
No, that's fine. That's fine. But it was really well done.
Oh,
yeah,
cheers, mate.
I didn't think you were gonna get Blackburn. I thought you were gonna get 9.
Yeah, no, that definitely. I was definitely gonna go for Leicester until I thought of because I thought, oh, Blackburn obviously they won the Prem, but then I started thinking. I remember Arsenal playing them in sort of 2012, 2013, those sorts of seasons. And I thought, bloody hell, they must have been in it since probably they won it. They hadn't been relegated. So,
yeah, I remember Liverpool with Andy Carroll and Luis Suarez up top struggling against them. Yeah, what a clutch victory. Oh my god. Oh no. I'm not ready. Right. 10 out of 10, well done, mate.
Cheers, mate. I actually just need to grab my phone so that I can get my timer going.
No, that's fine. Let us know in the comments below how well you did. Did you get all 10? Did you like the faces I was making? What Toby was going through the list? And
okay.
Yeah. Are you ready?
I am ready. I have my timer ready to go.
Okay. I'm also going to write down a bit of shuffling going on my end.
It helped to write down the wrong answers as well.
Yeah. Okay.
So, Mev, I'm looking for the top 10 Liverpool Champions League goals. Sorry, let me rephrase. That is a horribly word. So I'm looking for. Oh no,
Toby! I know what
I'm looking for Liverpool's top 10 Champions League goal scorers. So that is as it's been branded as Champions League, not including the previous European Cup.
Okay.
So the top 10 Liverpool Champions League goal scorers, excluding Salah, Mane, and Firmino.
What? No.
They were too easy. So your time starts 5 minutes now.
I hate you. I'm going to spend 4 of these minutes just saying how much I hate you. Okay. Oh no, you're going to expose me. Gerard.
That is correct. Number 1 with 21 goals.
$21 goals. That's not that many. Fernando Torres.
That is correct. He is in 5th position with 8 goals.
Okay. Not many. I am going to go Peter Crouch.
That is correct. He's in 3rd place with 9 goals.
God, Crouch, you with 9. This can be so hard. I'm going to go Gini Wijnaldum.
He slips in at number 10 with 5 goals.
I remembered 2 just from Barcelona, and we scored 1 against Roma away from home when he doesn't score away from home. So maybe. What's my time?
You have 3 minutes 30 left.
This is hard. I'm thinking more recent years. 5. I'm gonna go. I don't think he's there, but Diogo Jota.
He is there. He is in 9th place with 5 as well.
5 as well. Okay. Do I go Divock Origi? Yeah, screw it. Origi.
He is not tenable.
Oh. Okay. Do you know how many he had?
I'm gonna. I don't, unfortunately. I am gonna give you a hint, maybe because this was a little bit tougher than yours, but don't think recent anymore.
Yeah. That's issue. Oh. All right. Robbie Fowler.
Unfortunately, he is not tenable.
Oh. I'm just thinking it out here, but I don't think Heskey's one. I don't think Nottingham. God, Suarez didn't play in. No, he didn't play in Champions League. We had that season with Balotelli, Barini. Oh God, no, Lambert, none of them. Sturridge, no.
I'm gonna just give you a hint. I would think even earlier than that.
Yeah, I know, but this is what I'm struggling. Can't remember what years we were in the Champions League. Who were our strikers? Oh God, we haven't had a great record of strikers. What's my time?
1 minute 30 left.
Oh, you've exposed me. I'm gonna go Jermaine Pennant.
Jermaine Pennant is not tenable.
I've got how many? Is that one life?
You've got one incorrect guess left. I would say think of maybe when you won the Champions League, potentially.
I know, and I'm struggling. I know that. I'm panicking. That's the issue.
There's a couple players maybe in that sort of 2010-ish time.
I know the team I'm trying to think of, but I just can't do it.
When you played Chelsea in Champions League semi-final, potentially? That's
Okay.
the era.
Luis Garcia.
Yes, well done, mate. He is in second place.
Ryan
with 10
Babel.
goals. Yes, mate. 6th place with 7 goals. You're on a roll now.
Duck out.
Dirk out. He's got 4th place with 9 goals.
How many?
You got 2 left. You got 2 left.
Time.
5 seconds.
No, I don't have it.
And that is time. What a turnaround at the end, getting all 3 of those.
I know.
That was very good, mate. You got 8. 8 out of 10.
Give me hints for these. I want to guess them.
There is one that you would definitely have be able to get without any guesses. He was... I'm trying to think of a clue that doesn't give it away directly. He was a striker.
Really? Because I was trying to think of goalkeepers who scored for Liverpool.
he was he like late 90s? He sort of started.
Oh, Michael Owen.
It is Michael Owen. 6 goals. He was in 7th place. So it's just the 8th place horse with 6 goals that you're missing at the moment, which is the hardest name on the board.
Is he a midfielder?
He is.
Is it Yossi Benayoun?
It is Yossi Benayoun, mate.
I should have got that.
Yeah, so 8 out of 10. That was a really good shift.
Oh, I wasn't. 5 minutes. I didn't get them. That was bad.
Nah, that was really good. The way that you got Garcia, Count, and Babel all at once, because they were pretty like sort of roguish names, I would say as well.
No, they're not for Liverpool fan. No,
and to get Jota and Wijnaldum as well. I would not have thought they would have been on there.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I got them, to be fair. Oh,
Nice.
No, that was good. That was good. Very good. I should have got that.
I thought having Salah, Mane, and Firmino meant it had a few more interesting names in there. So
Yeah, because
you
you
did really well, mate.
knocked out Genie, Jota, and who else?
It would have been one of Benayoun or Owen. I suppose.
So that means I got it.
I probably would have knocked off Owen because I felt like you would have got him just to be to be so kind to you, Mev.
Oh, well, no, do you know what? That was really good. I enjoyed that. We should definitely do it again.
Yeah, it's really fun to play, isn't it? Hopefully it's as fun to listen as it was to play.
I hope so.
I suppose hopefully you can sort of play along as well, which is fun. So
yeah, well,
that's it. I go in from the first episode with a 10-8 lead, which I will take.
yes, but you have exposed me as not a good Liverpool fan.
Hey, I think 8 out of 10 is a respectable Liverpool fan. I think if you would have got Benayoun, you would have been an Anfield ultra.
Yeah, I'm not quite, am I? Just have a podcast, you know.
So take it. Right.
All right.
That was a lot of fun. That was Football Tennable. We'll keep these going for another season of the quiz. But for now, let's get back into the Prem footy and carry on this weekend's games.
Yes, with Man United 2, Sheffield United 1. And Sheffield United still can't break the duck, even against Man United, who are not doing well at this moment in time. But 2-1 victory for Man United, you know, very well, hard-fought game. And obviously we've got to give a mention to Sir Bobby Charlton, who sadly passed away on the day of the game. And I thought Harry Maguire and a lot of, you know, United legends of the past and pundits gave a very touching tribute. I mean, obviously we were too young to watch him play. But, you know, he is, you know, you hear the stories, you watch the documentaries, and what a man, what a player he was. But what did you make of the game, Toby?
Yeah, I was just about to say, following you saying about Bobby Charlton, he's obviously we would have never seen him play live, but having watched a lot of sort of the 1966 World Cup games where England hosted and won it, seeing he was clearly one of the best players in the world at the time, if not the best player in the world. I think he won the Ballon d'Or that year. Absolutely carried England through, and a lot of sort of people of that generation say how underrated he was because of the sort of modest man that he was in himself. Probably the best English player of all time, an absolute Man United legend, and really sad to see that he's passed. So yeah, as you said, rest in peace to Bobby Charlton. In terms of this game, Man United able to pick up 3 points. Again, it was one of those where they have picked up the points, but it wasn't particularly a convincing performance against, statistically and points-based, the worst side in the league. I know it was an away game at Sheffield, which could be a tough place to go. They have a really good atmosphere there. And they actually played pretty well, I thought, this week, Sheffield United. They had some good chances. They had a really good chance early for McBurney, where he probably should have scored. Got them 1-0 up, and they could have really pressed on. But Man United, fair play to them. They, as you said, they sort of ground it out. They got a bit of a scrappy win. And they started it off with McTominay. What a man. He is the man at the moment. He can't stop scoring and can't stop saving Man United at the moment.
Yeah, the Scottish R9, like playing as the second striker for Scotland at this moment in time because of how well he's been doing. And I think, you know, he's always been a decent player. I think the issue is for Man United when he starts in week out, he's not good enough for doing that, if we're being honest. If you're doing that for a mid to lower side Premier League team, you know, absolutely. But I think for Man United, you know, I mean, him getting goals, it's fine. It's good. You know, and again, what a lovely finish. I mean, I can't believe it, the goal scoring form he's been in this moment in time. But then he goes and gets a goal. Fantastic job. Gives United the 1-0 lead. And then he gives away the handball for the penalty at their end. And it's just like, he can't do like a whole 90 minutes where he does everything well for Man United. Well, to be fair, apart from the last game they played, you know, where he got that goal in the last few minutes, the last 2 goals, sorry. But yeah, what did you make of the penalty? Was it a definite penalty for you?
Yeah, I think it's got to be. It's it was a funny one. I wasn't sure when the way his arm was moving. It almost looked like he was obviously trying to move it away, But I think as the ball was sort of coming towards it, it was moving out. So as it almost struck him, it looked like he was sort of flicking it on as well, which I don't think helped his cause. And I think made it a pretty easy decision for the ref in the end to give the penalty and to get Sheffield United back into the game. McBurney to almost redeem himself for potentially missing a really golden chance early in the game. Put away the pen brilliantly. Got them into half-time, drawing. But I think after the break, Man United did come out the better side. They did sort of see where they were going wrong, and they had the better chances in the second half. They had hit the woodwork. Amrabat had an absolute rocket. I think it was on his weaker foot, actually, on his weaker right foot. Hit the crossbar. They were really pressing, really moving forward, looked much better, and I think Sheffield United probably picked up on that as well and were sitting back a lot more, whether that was because United were playing better or because they were trying to maybe protect the point against a side who are probably on paper meant to be better. Probably a combination of both of those. Really turned around in that second half. And then Dallo comes out of nowhere with an absolute banger, curls into the top bins, and puts United 2-1 up to get them 3 points in the end.
Yeah, it was... No, what can you say? You run out of superlatives because of what an amazing strike it was. I will say, Foderingham, I think, should have maybe done better. I think he does get 1.5 hands to it, which, it's more than enough to save it. And, I do think Man United got very lucky. I mean, the strike was fantastic. You don't expect to be scoring from those kind of chances, but when you do, you take them. And I think it's another one where, we've been saying this season, Man United with the injuries that they've had, the off-the-field issues, the amount of, the lack of cohesion on the pitch, really, with all these players coming in, the younger players and the new players from signings, that I think they just need to go out and get 3 points and just win, forget about performance. The issue is, next week is the Manchester Derby. So they're at home, and the way that they've been playing recently, no one will expect them to win. So that maybe they can go into that game, especially at home with the support of the home crowd, just defend in a low block and go on the counter-attack with the likes of Rashford and Garnacho, Anthony. So maybe they'll have a chance, but you don't see them, competing toe for toe in Manchester City. And we expected maybe this Eric Ten Hag side to be closer to that because of the fact that, it's 3 windows now, Ten Hag side, and, and to implement a style of play. And I think the big one is the style of play. We're not really seeing that at the moment in time. But, you get 3 points, no one can say anything otherwise. And you move on to the next one.
Yeah, I think you've sort of said that the last couple of weeks, that get the 3 points whilst they're in this sort of sticky patch that they're not playing well, especially away games against teams where you're not always 100% sure how they're going to play. How you're going to play sort of in that first 10 minutes can really dictate that. So to go get the 3 points is a good thing at the moment, definitely for them. Next week, let's see what happens. Who knows what can happen. City will probably be going in thinking they're going to get the 3 points, but sometimes that can actually help. Like a team like Man United, who aren't playing particularly well, an opposition can underestimate them and they could put on their performance this season. Who knows? Yeah,
exactly. And I think Sheffield United, I mean, they got a goal. The home fans, they responded really well, I think, to going down. Everyone was on board. They were defending really well, like you said. But, I mean, along with Bournemouth as the only side who haven't got a win yet. At least Bournemouth have got a couple of draws, I think. So I think they're a point ahead. But I think at this point, even Luton look like they have more than Sheffield United at this moment in time. And it's worrying signs. 9 games now. I don't know what you can do. We've been saying you can't sack the manager because the squad isn't capable of playing any better. But if you don't do that, then what's the point of being in the league, I suppose? You may as well give it a go.
Yeah, I agree. I think they've got a lot of work to do. I mean, they played pretty well. They played pretty well this weekend. But just got to try and pick up some points where they can. I'm not sure where they're going to come from just yet, but let's wait and see.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay.
Not much to say on that, to be honest, as you can tell.
What was that?
not much to say about Sheffield United from myself.
Yeah,
As you can tell.
I mean, they need to give us something more to talk about.
Yeah.
I mean, not just from a result basis, but just like in an attacking sense, looking just really fluid and looking like a threat, and outperforming the other team in 1xG, and just I don't know, giving it a go.
Yeah.
But then I suppose if they do that, then they're going to be defensively really poor. So they can't win.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then moving on then to the other side of Manchester City 2, Brighton and Hove Albion 1. And I was really excited for this game going into it. I thought two teams who play really good, attractive, attacking football. And, I thought Brighton could give Man City a game, even if it was at the Etihad. And they really did, to be fair. Man City with the 2 early goals with Alvarez and Haaland. But, Brighton stuck at it. And, got the goal back. And, they could have really got some points in Man City. Were you impressed with Brighton as much as I was?
I was outside of the first half an hour, I would say.
Okay.
I think in that first half an hour, I think Brighton looked really open. I think they looked really slow. I think they still have that problem where in front of their defence there is not much protection, and it feels like sometimes the gaps between the midfield and the defence when they're sort of trying to break and then they get caught out or they get broken against, or sometimes even between the midfield and the attack, there still seems to be quite a lot of gaps in there at some points. And this is just me being overly critical on Brighton. I think I wouldn't have these qualms against if they had a much lower expectation. I think losing 2-1 City is really good, and I think these are just little things that Brighton can do to get even better, and I think that they have the possibility to really become one of these sort of top sides in the league, and I think it's just these little things where they are missing still, these sort of big gaps between their midfield and the defence. I think they had that really shored up last week with the sort of that new young defence midfielder playing. I think his name's Baleba. Against Liverpool, I think he had a fantastic game. He really stepped in and he looked really confident. He looked really assured, and he really did help to sort of stop that gap. I think in this game he didn't have his best game at all. I think he did get quite overrun at times, and there were still those big spaces. And I think they were exploited really, really well by Man City in this game. Firstly, we saw that in Julian Alvarez. He was able to find that space in the box behind their lowest block, and got a bit lucky with the finish, the way it bounced over. It was like an unintentional, that little pass Mesut Ozil used to do. Just bounced over the keeper. And then the same from Haaland's goal. It was picked up in that sort of half space between the midfield and the defence. He was able to run through and finish it, and it felt like at 2-0 down, that's a massive mountain for Brighton to climb, mainly because of the way that they were set up, invited that from Man City. But from that point onwards, from about half an hour, I think they did shore that up, and they really went at Man City, and probably for the rest of the game, they were the more dangerous side, the side looking more likely to score, and the side looking probably less likely to concede, I would say. So in that sense, I think once they turned that round, I was really impressed with them, and I think that's where we can see Brighton at their best. However, maybe earlier in the game, I was a bit disappointed that it was 2-0 down so early, because they really could have given Brighton a game if they played as well as they did in that second half for the whole 90.
Yeah, to be fair, I completely forgot about that first half. I mean, I agree. They were pressing in like a 6 and a 4. But then because of Man City's quality, every player on the pitch had the ability to break the lines, and they did it so often with like Baleba just in no man's land. And then they'll go, okay, are they going to play the ball backwards? So can we stay in the position we're going to stay in? No, the ball goes forwards. Oh no, we need to run back and recover. And that happened way too often. But I think like Baleba as well with the second goal, he gave the ball away under just a little bit of pressure. I wouldn't say it was too much for first-to-pressure footballer. I think he should have done better. But the fact is, he's still a teenager, so he's going to have those moments where he's going to like not be concentrating as hard, or maybe those periods of games. But I think he's looked really promising so far. And I think it was the change that De Zerbi made when he brought on Ansu Fati, put him on the left, and then changed Matoma into the middle, and then Matoma just running through the midfield. Like Man City couldn't get anywhere near him. And I thought that's when Brighton really grabbed the other hand. And, it resulted in Akanji getting 2 yellows and being sent off. And I think both he couldn't really complain of again. I do think consistency with refereeing, because I think the second for Kanji was soft, but it was a yellow card. But for Kanate earlier on, it was soft again, but wasn't given. So again, just consistency. But yeah, no, I thought Brighton did really well. And Man City just clung on, And then they move into the Manchester Derby, breaking their losing streak. I mean, very short of only two. But then they move on to Man United. And how do you see that game going?
Yeah, I think Man City, we saw them at their best in that first sort of half an hour. They, I think it was actually probably Brighton playing well that sort of restricted them to being a bit more ruthless and really going and getting more goals. I don't think they have lost that sort of edge to them. I think they will be going into the United game starting really strong like they did in this one, and if they can get an early goal, it could be game over fairly early for United. Obviously, they will be without Akanji, who for me is one of being the most underrated players in the league last season and this season so far. I think he is brilliant, and I think Pep really, really loves him. And I can't believe how cheap they actually signed him for in the end. It seemed like a bit of a... I think when he first signed, people thought it was a bit of a normal signing, squad player, blah, blah, blah. But he's really come in and has been brilliant for them. Ortega was playing in this game as well, which was an interesting one. I'm not sure if Ederson had a little like knock or something, but he was on the bench, so maybe it was just sort of squad rotation.
Yeah, there's rotation.
Because he might be... Because he'll be playing in the Champions League and in the United game, I imagine. Just give him a bit of a rest in this one, possibly.
Yeah, I think Brazil were playing on Thursday night, so to play on the Saturday was a bit quick. That's all it was.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think City still look good. Will still look good in that United game, and it's a big task for United.
Yeah, completely agree. Okay, then on to our next game. Brentford 3, Burnley 0. And, Brentford, after a bad run of form, have finally turned it around. Goals from their front players, really fluid play, I think, from all of them. And I was really impressed by Neil Maupay. Who would have thought I'd say that? After his performance at Everton has been really poor. But, he did really, really well in this game as well. And he linked up with Wisa and Mbeumo really well. And, I thought they totally deserved the win. Burnley didn't really lay glove on them. And then more questions than answers for Vincent Kompany's men.
Yeah, it's Brentford's first win in over 2 months, which is crazy to think, especially a team that I think a lot of people really like and praise rightfully. They're a brilliant club, and they've just been in a bad spell of form, and this Burnley game has probably come at the right time to end that for them. Their XG was over 3, created some really good chances, 23 shots to Burnley's 6. Burnley with only 1 shot on target in the end, and Brentford having 10. And like you said, mentioned Maupay, fantastic, really good game. I think Wissa really stepped up, and I think Mbeumo had a fantastic game, probably the first of which we've seen in the last sort of 4 or 5 game weeks. He probably is one of their most important players, and when he hasn't been playing well, Brentford haven't been playing well. Got a brilliant assist for the first Wissa goal, scored himself a really lovely finish, and it was just all Brentford. And in this game, Burnley looked very, very poor. Were able to have that 50% possession, have that ball like we've seen them, but just were not able to do anything with it or stop Brentford when they were doing something with it. Yeah,
and it's really worrying signs for Burnley now. I think everyone had them maybe not getting relegated, but like in between 17th and 10th. But now it's, I don't know. Where do you go? Because they're not able to sign anyone until January. And they're really struggling to score goals at this moment in time as well. And it looks like it's going to be at least 2 of those 3 newly promoted teams. And Burnley are in the mix, It's really worrying.
Yeah, I think people were expecting them to be like the next Brentford, the next Brighton. They were going to come up, they play really good football. And I thought they would do better than they have been. I think they've just, in some games, just looked really, really poor. Really, like, it's still that sort of same thing where they're just not sort of defending well at all, and they just don't have that to their game at all. And against good teams, they just get picked apart.
Well, moving on then. Sorry. getting ahead of myself. Sorry. We should talk about the another red card for Roberts this time. 2 yellows. Again, no complaints.
I don't think so. I think, I didn't hear particularly too many sort of complaints about this one, and for me, I don't think there were really any either.
Yeah, that's fair. And then, did you see Goddess's goal?
I think, that was an absolute banger.
Yes.
Yeah. What a goal.
What a goal.
I think that was probably goal of the weekend. There's been some really good goals this weekend. And I think for me, that was probably the best strike I saw.
I know.
It's just such a satisfying hit as well. I think that's what made it for me.
Because I thought he had no chance because the ball bounced and he ended up hitting it on the half volley. And the fact that he kept it so low and not shanking it high or wide, that was such a great finish. I was just like,
sweet.
oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, now we can move on.
Now we can move
Nottingham
on.
Forest 2, Luton Town 2. Chris Wood, the main man, he's back.
He's back.
Yeah, what did you make of him? 2 goals in Taiwo in his absence. Really stepping up to the plate, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. It's good to see because I think he is still a useful player for a lot of teams. I think he's, whilst he's been at Forest, I think he is now sort of seen as like an impact sub. But to see that he can come in, start and score and perform really well like he did is a good thing. He's sort of got maybe, he's just more than just a super sub. He actually is good cover as well for someone if they need to be out. And I think Forest were really good in this game. Really dominated Luton. I think they could have been 3 or 4-0 up at half time. Maybe they should have been. And they completely dominated the game for 80 minutes. And that, for me, is why it was so frustrating how they threw it away at the end. Just could not see this game out. And they really deserved to win based on how they played for 80 minutes. They were all over Luton. Luton didn't really have a sniff all game. Completely dominated. And then they just went and threw it away at the end.
I can't believe it. I mean, I think if Luton are going to get points this season and mount a challenge to really stay in the league, they're going to have to take points when they don't deserve it. And this was definitely one of them. I do think it was really bad defending. I think it was the set piece leading to the first goal. I think Serge Aurier on the front post, what are you doing? He goes to head, like he squats. And then he like jumps up, but then completely mistimes the jump. And I'm just like, oh, what are you doing? You're a Premier League defender. You should be able to time your intervention a bit better than that. That's really poor. And then to not win the second ball. And then the equaliser from Adebayo. I think Worrell, he loses the 50-50 in the air. That's fine. That can happen. But I can't remember who the defender was to his right. But they were way out wide, and they should have tucked into the space left by Worrell, who went with Adebayo to try and stop him. And in the end, it was an easy finish past Matt Turner. And I was just thinking, how have you thrown that away? It was, I don't know. They just thought they won it. They thought they won it, and they got complacent. And Luton Town, got them.
Yeah, I think that must have been something that Cooper would have said. That Luton are dangerous from set pieces. It's where they've got most of their goals this season. It's where they have a lot of tall, strong players. They have some people who are really good at delivering the ball. And I think he would have told them, if you get the chance to get it out, just get it out, because we don't want to take any chances. And it wasn't even a good ball into the box. It was a really poor ball. There was nobody really even around Aurier particularly. A lot of times to just get it out. Completely bottled it. And I suppose, in a sense, fair play to Luton to be able to get that second goal. I think in those last 10 minutes after they got the first one, they really pushed on and they did look dangerous. But it was just for 10 minutes. It was 10 minutes at the end of the game. Forest should have been able to see that out. It was just one long ball played into the box, and I think it was Adebayo. That chest control and strength from him was elite. That was so good, I thought. It was like, I don't think a lot of players would be able to chest it and finish it as he did without sort of a player being that close and defending to him. It was like Worrell was grappling him all over him, and he was still able to just absolutely chest it down and finish it really nicely. So in a sense, Luton did really well to fight back. showed a lot of heart, showed a lot of courage to be able to push for those last 10 minutes and really just go for it, which maybe we haven't seen so much from them this season. So that was really good to see. But Forest should have never put themselves in that position to allow that anyway.
Never. Absolutely never. And then the final game of the weekend, Bournemouth 1, Wolverhampton Wanderers 2. And again, Gary O'Neill, he's cooking something at Wolves. I'm telling you, he's doing
cooking.
really well.
He is cooking.
Yeah, and coming up against his old side, who sacked him in the summer, I think that must have felt really, really good for him. And especially after they were 1-0 down from Dominic Solanke. What a finish, by the way. Good low cross into the box.
Lovely little flick.
Yeah, the little flick on. What a finish. But Bournemouth conceding goals yet again.
Yeah, they've been defending really poorly this season. And it was another Neto assist to Mateus Cunha, who that we've said so many times on this podcast how dangerous that front three can be when they're all playing together and all playing well. Hwang, Cunha, and Neto, I think they all bring little different things. I think Cunha brings, he's a really good dribbler, really direct. I think he's someone who can drop in, pull. He really creates space for a lot of other people. Neto, fantastic creator, also really good dribbler just out wide, two-footed, can do a lot. He can also score as well, and I think Hwang is probably what you say is the sort of that final player, someone who can finish really well, someone who can get in behind, and I think that combination of all three of them, they just bring so much as a unit. And we saw Cunha with a really lovely finish. Someone who hasn't scored many goals in the last few seasons. He's not known as a great finisher. Was able to put it in the back of the net brilliantly. And the Cook red card, I think, is where the game completely fell apart for Bournemouth. As soon as he went off, Wolves absolutely dominated. They had 66% possession throughout the whole game, and I think a lot of that was following the red card. Bournemouth so far this season, especially at home, we've seen they want to keep the ball, they want to use it, they want to progress it. And when they went down to 10 men, they were just not able to. Game plan was completely gone. They're not a team set up to sit back. And they looked even more open than when they are playing their progressive football and they are leaving that space in behind to the defence. And it was only a matter of time, I think, in that game, once that had happened, that Wolves were going to get a second.
Yeah, I think it was really poor from Lewis Cook because at that moment in time, the game's 1-1. Wang reacted a bit because of the fact, Cook was all over him. But it's 1-1, you're both fighting for it. He gets up, he reacts, and you just do nothing, and you walk away, you just laugh in his face, and then he looks a bit of like a mug. But the fact that you put your head anywhere near his face, and then you do make contact, I mean, the reaction is over the top, but if Wang doesn't do that, the referee doesn't see it, and then VAR don't intervene, and therefore they wouldn't, end up winning the game because they dominated after that. And then Kolasinac, for the second time this season, coming off the bench and getting the win for Wolverhampton Wanderers. And, they steal the 3 points, I think you can say.
Yeah, it was a really weird goal, that second one. When I was watching it sort of back, and it was Neto who passed it out from the goal kick. And all the sort of commentators and the stuff I saw were saying that it was a really bad error from the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
I don't think it was a bad pass, actually. I thought it was quite a good pass out to Billing. He had quite a decent amount of space around him, good weight on the pass straight to him, and Billing was sort of able to carry it forward. I think maybe the error was, why are you passing out short, rushing it like that with only 5 minutes left of the game, which I understand. But I don't think the pass itself was particularly bad. I think it was just weird, and then Billing sort of lost his footing, lost the ball because of the pressure from was it Kolasinac who was the one who was pressing him, who then went on to score, or was it another player?
I can't remember.
Yeah, but I feel like it could have even been a foul. It seemed like Billing's leg almost got clipped, which didn't really get mentioned much. It was a really strange goal, especially in that sort of dying embers of the game. You would just not have expected Bournemouth to do that and lose that ball and give it away. It was really weird.
It was weird, but I think it's just like people don't want to tactically break the play down, so they'll blame the goalkeeper because it's an easy thing to do. I do think Billing could have controlled it better. I do think Neto was rushing a bit too much. I do agree with that, especially when they had 10 men. But I think the pass was absolutely fine. I don't think it was just like individual error or his thing that cost him the goal or the game. But what was that, sorry?
Sorry, I'm just absolutely dying.
No.
Oh
That's
God,
alright.
it's all this talk of
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Bournemouth bottling it. It's just absolutely killing me.
No, that's fine. You got very excited during Tenable. I can understand this. Absolutely fine. No one wants to talk about Bournemouth and Wolves anyway, so it's fine. It's fine. We'll make sure you're safe. We get to the next episode, and we'll end it there, shall we? Thank you, everyone. For
that wasn't my cue of.
Yes, that was a cue.
You're chatting too much, mate. Just start coughing.
Yeah.
There's a little cue.
That's a cue. Well,
oh God, I'm like crying now.
no, it's fine. I'll mute you in the edit. Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening. If you're watching us on YouTube, please give us a like and subscribe. Tell your friends. And if you're listening to us on Spotify, please give it a 5-star rating. We would really appreciate it, and it really helps us out. We look forward to seeing you next week, and take care.
Cheers.